Ryan had never seen a place like Scythera before. The planet's sky shimmered in soft green and blue shades, and the air felt alive, carrying a faint hum of energy. As the first human to step onto this alien world, he felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Around him, enormous crystal towers reflected the sunlight, casting dancing lights on the smooth streets. Floating vehicles moved silently between buildings, guided by invisible forces. The landing hall where Ryan arrived was vast. Its walls were translucent, showing the city outside. The floor glowed faintly beneath his boots, and strange symbols floated in the air, like tiny moving constellations. Hundreds of Scytherans stood in formal rows, observing the new visitor. Their skin was pale and smooth, and their eyes shimmered with colors humans could not name. Every face carried a sense of intelligence and calm, but Ryan felt their curiosity like a quiet wave. At the center of the hall, a tall figure approached. Her presence commanded attention without force. This was Queen Scythera, ruler of Scythera. She moved gracefully, her robes floating slightly above the ground as if the air itself wanted to lift her. At her side was Princess Alara, young and radiant. Her hair seemed to shimmer like spun silver, and her eyes held a light that made it hard to look away. She was not yet a woman, but there was an undeniable confidence in her gaze. As Ryan approached the royal figures, he bowed respectfully. He had practiced every gesture, every formal word, yet now, standing here, he felt small. The queen smiled gently, her eyes studying him with careful attention. Princess Alara, however, did not hide her curiosity. She stepped closer to her mother, tilting her head slightly. Her eyes never left Ryan. "I want this human, Mom," Alara said softly, her voice carrying just enough for her mother to hear. The hall grew quiet. Some nobles whispered among themselves. Choosing a human was unheard of, especially by the princess. Ryan felt heat rise to his cheeks, unsure whether he should respond. He had not expected this kind of attention. Queen Scythera's eyes, calm and wise, looked at her daughter, then at Ryan. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she studied him, as if she could see into his thoughts. "We shall see if your courage matches your spirit," she finally said. "Come with us. There is much to learn about Scythera." Ryan nodded, swallowing the nervousness in his throat. He followed the queen and princess out of the hall into the royal gardens. These gardens were unlike anything on earth. Giant flowers hovered above the ground, their petals glowing softly. Streams of water curved through the air, defying gravity, and strange birds with translucent wings flitted from one floating tree to another. The air smelled sweet but fresh, a combination Ryan could not name. Princess Alara walked beside him, her steps light and deliberate. "Do you like Scythera?" she asked, her voice gentle, almost playful. "It's amazing," Ryan replied honestly. "I've never seen anything like it. Your world is alive." Alara smiled faintly. "Yes. It has always been alive, but it changes for those who are brave enough to see it. Humans are said to be brave. Do you feel brave?" Ryan hesitated. "I hope so. I am nervous, but I want to learn and help. I want to understand your people." Alara's eyes sparkled. She paused by a stream of floating water, watching it twist and turn in the air. "Curiosity is a kind of bravery too," she said. "Many of my people forget that. They think knowledge is only for the wise, but courage and curiosity go together." As they walked, Ryan noticed a group of young Scytherans watching him from a distance. Their expressions were curious, some skeptical. He realized he was not just meeting the princess, he was representing all of humanity here. The thought made his chest tighten, but he straightened his shoulders and walked with as much confidence as he could. The queen led them to a pavilion at the center of the gardens. It hovered slightly above the ground, supported by shimmering energy fields. Inside, the walls displayed scenes from Zythera's history. Ryan saw images of the planet's first explorers, their interactions with strange creatures, and the creation of their floating cities. The level of knowledge and technology amazed him. Queen Solara spoke, her voice calm and clear. "Ryan, you are the first human to come to Zythera officially. We welcome you. But this visit is not just ceremonial. We wish to understand your species. We wish to see what makes humans special." Ryan nodded. "I will do my best, Your Majesty. Humans are resourceful, adaptable, and we care deeply about others. That is what I hope to show you." Princess Alara stepped forward. "I have already seen enough," she said with a soft laugh. "This human is not like the others. He is different. I think he will understand us in ways others cannot." She looked at Ryan directly. "And I want him to try." Ryan blinked, unsure how to respond. The attention was overwhelming, yet he felt a strange sense of trust from the young princess. There was no arrogance in her words, only curiosity and an invitation. Queen Solara continued, ignoring the stir among the nobles. "Tomorrow, you will begin your trials. Not tests of strength, but of thought, skill, and courage. Princess Alara will guide you. You will see if humans can rise to the challenges of Zythera." Ryan felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Trials sounded daunting, but he was eager to prove himself. "I will do my best," he said firmly. Alara smiled, a playful light in her eyes. "Good. Then tomorrow, we begin." She turned and led him toward the edge of the pavilion where a series of floating platforms hovered above a sparkling river. "Come," she said. "Let me show you how Zytherans play. It will teach you more than you think." Ryan followed, carefully stepping onto the first platform. It felt solid at first, then shifted slightly, responding to his weight. He stumbled for a moment, but Alara reached out and steadied him. Her touch was gentle, yet strong. Ryan felt a strange warmth from the contact, and he realized it was the first moment he truly felt welcome on this alien planet. The platforms led him through a maze of floating paths, some narrow, some curving, some twisting high into the air. Alara guided him with encouragement, teaching him to feel the rhythm of the energy beneath the platforms. Each step required balance, focus, and trust. Ryan realized this was not just play, it was a lesson in patience, observation, and courage. By the time they reached the final platform, Ryan was breathing heavily but smiling. Alara clapped her hands softly. "Well done," she said. "You are learning quickly. Humans have potential, but only if you pay attention to the world around you." Ryan looked out at the garden from the high platform. He had never felt so alive, so aware of every movement, sound, and light. Zythera was beautiful, but it was also challenging, and he realized that to succeed here, he would need more than courage. He would need curiosity, patience, and respect for a world entirely different from his own. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the floating gardens, Alara turned to him. "Tomorrow, the real trials begin," she said. "Are you ready, human?" Ryan nodded firmly. "Yes. I am ready." Alara smiled again, her eyes softening. "Good. That is all I needed to hear. She stepped back, her gaze lingering on him for a moment longer. Ryan felt as if she could see his heart, his hopes, and his fears. He had no idea what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing clearly: Scythera would never be the same for him, and perhaps he would never be the same for it. That night, as Ryan lay in the quarters prepared for him, he thought about the princess's words. He thought about the floating gardens, the shimmering platforms, and the curious eyes of the young Scytherans. He thought about the queen's calm gaze and the whispered words of the princess, "I want this human, Mom." Ryan could not yet understand why she had said it, but he knew one thing: his life had changed the moment he stepped onto Scythera. The journey ahead would test him, teach him, and challenge him in ways he could not yet imagine. But for the first time in a long time, he felt ready. Tomorrow, the trials would begin, and the story of humans and Scytherans would start in a way no one had predicted. The morning light on Scythera was soft and shimmering. Ryan woke in the quarters prepared for him, his mind buzzing with curiosity and excitement. Today was the day of his first trial, and he could feel the energy of the planet vibrating through the air. He dressed carefully, checking his suit for comfort and readiness. Though he had no weapons or tools, he felt prepared in another way. His mind was alert, his spirit steady, and his heart open. Princess Alara arrived at his door promptly. Her presence was both calming and challenging. She smiled warmly at him, but her eyes were filled with a spark of mischief. "Good morning, human," she said. "Are you ready for your first challenge?" Ryan nodded, though his stomach fluttered with nerves. "I am ready. What will I have to do?" Alara did not answer immediately. She turned and led him through the floating corridors of the palace. The walls were translucent, revealing the city outside. From here, Ryan could see citizens moving gracefully on floating paths, their energy interacting with the platforms in a delicate dance. It was a beautiful sight, but he kept his eyes on the princess. They arrived at a vast chamber, circular in shape, with walls that glowed faintly. Floating above the center was a platform, and on it were objects that Ryan could not recognize. Some glimmered, some shifted, and some hummed softly. Alara turned to him. "This is your first trial," she said. "It is not about strength or speed. It is about observation, thought, and courage. You must learn to interact with the objects and discover their purpose. You may fail, but only by trying will you succeed." Ryan studied the platform carefully. Each object seemed alive in its own way. One resembled a small crystal globe that pulsed with light. Another was a floating cube with patterns shifting across its faces. There was a small creature that looked like a mixture of a bird and a jellyfish, hovering in place. The challenge was clear: he had to understand them without instructions. He took a deep breath and approached the first object, the glowing crystal globe. As his fingers touched it, it expanded slightly and then shrank back. Light swirled inside, forming shapes that looked like simple patterns. He realized it was responding to his touch and focus. Closing his eyes, he concentrated, imagining the shapes he wanted to see. Slowly, the patterns transformed into clear lines, showing him a path across the chamber. Alara watched silently, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Not bad, human," she said. "Many try and fail, believing they must act quickly. Patience is key here." Encouraged, Ryan moved to the floating cube. Its patterns changed constantly, and he could feel a faint hum of energy. He touched it lightly and noticed that each face of the cube responded differently to pressure, angle, and intention. He experimented carefully, moving his hands in small, deliberate motions. After several attempts, the cube settled into a stable pattern, creating a bridge of light across the chamber. He turned to the hovering creature. It circled him once, then stopped, tilting its translucent body as if observing him. Ryan remembered the advice Alara had given him yesterday about curiosity being a form of bravery. He spoke softly, "Hello. I am not here to harm you. I want to learn." The creature blinked once, then hovered closer, allowing Ryan to extend his hand. It landed gently on his palm, and he could feel warmth and energy flowing through it. With care, he guided it to the glowing cube bridge. The creature moved gracefully, activating hidden platforms that revealed a final path to the other side of the chamber. Ryan realized he had succeeded in connecting the objects, not through force, but by understanding, patience, and trust. Alara clapped her hands softly. "You are learning faster than I expected. Humans are clever, but you also have something many Zytherans forget: compassion. You treat the unknown with respect." Ryan smiled, feeling proud but still cautious. "Thank you. I am trying to understand your world." The next trial began immediately. This time, Alaro led him to a vast field outside the palace, floating high above the city. Strange plants with luminous leaves sway gently in the air, and small, curious creatures peered from behind glowing stalks. The trial was different here. Ryan had to navigate the field, reaching a central tower while avoiding traps and obstacles. Alara explained briefly, "Some of these plants will react to fear or aggression. Some will help if you are calm and thoughtful. Use your mind and your instincts." Ryan nodded and stepped into the field. Immediately, a low hum resonated through the air, and some of the glowing plants shifted toward him. He remembered Alara's words and took slow, careful steps. When a vine-like plant reached for him, he did not strike or push. Instead, he spoke softly, "I mean no harm. Please allow me to pass." To his surprise, the plant parted, letting him through. He moved forward, observing everything carefully. Small creatures guided him, hopping onto his shoulders and pointing the way with gentle movements. He realized this trial was as much about communication and understanding as it was about agility. By staying calm and paying attention, he avoided the traps and reached the tower without harm. Alara was waiting at the top, her expression pleased. "You are learning quickly. Few Zytherans would pass this trial in their first attempt. Humans are underestimated, but you show qualities that even the wise envy." Ryan felt a mix of pride and humility. "I am honored. I only want to do well and show respect to your people." Alara stepped closer. "That is why I chose you," she said quietly, almost to herself. Then, louder, she added, "The trials are not finished. You must still prove your creativity and courage in ways you cannot yet imagine." For the final trial of the day, Alaro led Ryan to a chamber filled with complex devices. Some resembled machines, others looked like instruments, and some were completely unrecognizable. "This is a test of creativity," she explained. "You must use these devices to solve a problem. The problem is simple: how to bring light to the dark corners of this room. But the solution is yours." Ryan walked carefully among the devices. He noticed that each one responded differently to touch, sound, or thought. He experimented, combining them in small ways. One machine amplified his voice, another redirected light beams, and a third absorbed energy from the walls. Slowly, he arranged them to create a soft, steady light that filled the room, illuminating even the smallest corners. Alara studied him silently, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke, You have succeeded. Not by brute force or knowledge alone, but by observing, thinking, and acting with care. This is a human quality: adaptability and understanding. Ryan felt a warm sense of accomplishment. Today had been difficult, but he had learned something important. Scythera was not a world to conquer with power or speed. It was a world to understand, respect, and adapt to. As the sun began to set, casting long golden rays across the city, Alara walked beside him. "You have done well," she said. "Tomorrow, the trials will continue, and they will be harder. But I believe in you. Humans have something special that even we struggle to understand." Ryan looked at her, noticing the quiet strength and intelligence in her eyes. He realized that Alara was not just a princess, she was a guide, a challenger, and perhaps, in some way, a friend. He felt a strange sense of connection with her, something he had not expected on an alien world. Returning to his quarters, Ryan reflected on the day. He had faced challenges that tested his mind, his patience, and his courage. He had succeeded not because he was the strongest, but because he observed, adapted, and acted with care. He felt proud of himself, but he also knew the trials were only beginning. Before sleep, he thought of the princess's words from the day before, "I want this human, Mom." He did not fully understand why she had said it, but he knew it was important. Scythera was full of wonders, and its people were full of wisdom. Ryan felt ready to learn, ready to face whatever trials awaited, and ready to show the aliens that humans could rise to any challenge. That night, the stars above Scythera seemed brighter, as if acknowledging his determination. Ryan slept with a sense of purpose, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and new opportunities to prove himself in a world unlike any he had ever known. The next morning on Scythera began with a gentle glow that spread across the floating city. The air shimmered faintly, filled with the sound of distant bells. Ryan woke feeling both rested and uneasy. He had passed his first trials, but he knew the challenges ahead would grow harder. Still, there was a quiet determination inside him. He wanted not only to succeed but also to understand this strange, beautiful world. Princess Alara arrived soon after sunrise. She wore a robe that seemed to flow like water, glowing faintly in the morning light. Her presence carried both elegance and warmth. When Ryan saw her, he felt his nerves calm, as if her confidence gave him strength. "Good morning, human," she said with a gentle smile. "Today, we will not test you in chambers or puzzles. Today, you will walk with me through Scythera itself. If you are to be here, you must know my people not from stories or trials, but from life itself." Ryan nodded. "I would like that. I want to understand your world better." They began their journey through the floating city. Bridges of energy connected the platforms, and citizens moved gracefully across them. Many turned to look at Ryan, their expressions curious, some skeptical, and a few even disapproving. He walked carefully, holding his head high, remembering that every step he took was also a step for humanity. Alara guided him to the markets first. Here, stalls floated in the air, each glowing with strange items. Some held fruits that shifted colors as they ripened, others displayed fabrics that shimmered like starlight. Musicians played instruments that created sounds like flowing water and singing wind. The air was alive with voices and laughter. A merchant approached Alara and bowed respectfully. His eyes shifted to Ryan, and he tilted his head slightly. "So this is the human," he said. His tone was not unkind, but filled with doubt. Is he truly worth the attention of the princess? Ryan felt the weight of the words but remained calm. He stepped forward politely. I am not here to prove I am greater than your people. I am here to learn, to show what humans can offer, and to understand Zythera. The merchant studied him, then smiled faintly. Perhaps there is more to you than I see. He offered Ryan a small fruit that glowed like a tiny sundae. Taste, human. This fruit is sweet for the honest, sour for the deceitful. Ryan took the fruit carefully, biting into it. The taste filled his mouth with a rich, sweet flavor that spread warmth through his body. The merchant laughed gently. Honest indeed, he said. Perhaps the princess has seen something real. Alara smiled with quiet pride. I told you he is different, she said. She looked at Ryan. Come, there is more to see. They left the markets and moved toward the learning towers. These were tall, glowing spires where knowledge of the Zytherans was stored. Inside, walls of light shifted constantly, showing images, words, and histories. Students of all ages sat in quiet circles, learning from the flowing walls. Alara guided Ryan to one of the walls and touched it gently. An image appeared, showing stars and planets, many of which Ryan recognized from human maps. But the Zytheran records went deeper, showing details no human telescope had captured. This is our record of the galaxy, Alara explained. We know much, but there are still mysteries. What do humans seek among the stars? Ryan thought carefully before answering. We seek knowledge, connection, and survival. We look to the stars because we want to grow and understand, but also because we fear being alone. Exploration is part of who we are. Alara studied him with interest. That is why I find humans fascinating. You reach out, even when you are uncertain. You risk much for the hope of discovery. My people have great knowledge, but sometimes we forget the value of wonder. They spent hours in the learning towers. Ryan asked questions about the stars, the history of Zythera, and the way their technology connected with nature. Alara listened with patience, answering carefully. She also asked about Earth, its oceans, its forests, and its people. Ryan spoke honestly about human struggles and hopes. He did not hide humanity's flaws, but he also shared its strengths: creativity, courage, and the power of unity. As the day passed, their bond grew stronger. Ryan no longer felt like just a guest. He felt like someone who belonged, someone who could walk beside Alara not as an outsider, but as an equal in curiosity and spirit. When they left the towers, Alara led him to the edge of the city where floating gardens stretched into the sky. Here, giant flowers opened as the sun lowered, releasing glowing pollen that filled the air with a soft golden light. It was peaceful and breathtaking. Alara sat on the edge of a platform, her legs dangling over the open air. She gestured for Ryan to sit beside her. He hesitated for a moment, then joined her. Below them, the city stretched like a sea of light, and above them, the sky slowly revealed the stars. Do you know why I said those words to my mother? Alara asked suddenly, her voice quiet. Ryan looked at her, surprised. You mean, when you said you wanted me? She nodded. Yes. Many thought it was strange, even foolish. But I saw something in you when you first entered the hall. You were nervous, yes, but you did not hide it. You carried it with honesty. That is rare. Most try to appear stronger than they are. You did not. That is why I chose you. Ryan felt a warmth in his chest. I don't always feel strong, he admitted. But I try to be honest, because I believe that is the first step to real strength. Alara smiled softly. Then perhaps humans are stronger than my people think. She paused, her gaze turning to the stars. But not everyone agrees with me. Some nobles see you as a threat. They believe bringing humans into our world will weaken us. You must be careful. Ryan nodded slowly. I understand. But I will not give up. I came here to learn, and I will not waste this chance. For a while, they sat in silence, watching the stars rise. Ryan felt a sense of peace he had not known in years. It was as if the universe itself was telling him that he was exactly where he needed to be. That peace was broken suddenly when a loud noise echoed across the gardens. Ryan stood quickly, scanning the area. From the shadows, a group of Scythian nobles appeared, their eyes sharp and unfriendly. One of them stepped forward. This has gone too far, Princess, the noble said. Bringing a human into our world is dangerous. You risk the purity of Scythera by keeping him close. Alara stood calmly, her expression firm. He has passed every trial. He has shown qualities worthy of respect. Why do you fear him? The noble sneered. Because he is not one of us. He cannot be trusted. We demand he leave Scythera before his presence corrupts us. Ryan felt the weight of the words but stayed silent. He knew this was not his fight to start, though he was ready to defend himself if needed. Alara raised her chin. You forget yourselves. I am the Princess of Scythera, and I have chosen him to walk beside me. He has earned his place here. If you cannot see that, then perhaps it is your vision that is clouded, not his. The nobles muttered among themselves, clearly displeased, but they did not act further. With a final glare, they turned and left. Ryan let out a slow breath. That was close, he said quietly. Alaro looked at him with calm determination. It will not be the last time. You must be ready. There are those who will try to remove you, not with words, but with actions. Remember that. Ryan nodded firmly. I will be ready. Whatever comes, I will face it. Alara studied him for a long moment, then smiled softly. I believe you will. That is why I chose you. As the night deepened, the stars shone brightly above Scythera. Ryan felt a bond forming, not just with Alara, but with the world itself. He was no longer just a visitor. He was becoming part of something larger, something that could change both humans and Scytherans forever. But he also knew that the challenges ahead would be greater than anything he had faced so far. The whispers of doubt among the nobles were growing louder, and soon, whispers would turn to actions. Still, as he looked at Alara's confident smile, he felt hope. Together, they could face whatever the future held. The days after the encounter with the nobles felt heavier to Ryan. He still explored Scythera with Princess Alara, learning about the world, but he could sense the tension around him. Wherever he walked, eyes followed. Some were filled with curiosity, others with doubt, and a few with open dislike. He reminded himself again and again that he was not just living for himself here, he was representing all of humanity. Alara, however, did not let the whispers of others slow her. She guided Ryan with the same warmth and patience, showing him the hidden places of Scythera. Together, they visited crystal caverns beneath the floating city, where walls glowed softly in the dark. They watched the migration of sky creatures that moved like rivers of light through the clouds. Each experience brought them closer, their bond growing stronger with every shared discovery. Yet, even in those moments of peace, Ryan noticed shadows. Nobles would watch from a distance, their faces stern. Servants would whisper when he passed. The feeling of being tested never left him. One evening, as the sun sank low, Alara called him to a high balcony that overlooked the city. The golden light reflected off the towers, and the air hummed with energy. She looked serious, her usual playful spark dimmed. "Ryan," she said quietly, "I must tell you the truth. There are factions among my people who do not want you here. They fear humans. They believe your presence will weaken us. Some will use words. Others may use force." Ryan met her gaze steadily. "I already felt it in the way they look at me. But why would they see me as a threat? I am only one man." Alara's voice grew firm. "Because you are not only one man. You are a symbol. By choosing you, I showed that humans have something my people must respect. Some nobles do not want to respect humans. They want to keep Scythera untouched. If you succeed, it will change everything. That is what they fear." Ryan stood quietly for a moment, letting her words sink in. "Then I must be ready for whatever they try. I will not run away." Alara's eyes softened. "I know. That is why I believe in you." The threat she warned of arrived sooner than either of them expected. It began with whispers in the palace, strange reports of accidents in the city. Bridges of energy collapsing, lights failing, machines stalling. At first, the Queen's advisors thought it was natural malfunction. But soon, the pattern became clear. These accidents happened in places Ryan and Alara often visited. The Queen gathered her council. Ryan was invited to stand at the edge of the hall, listening. Nobles argued loudly, their voices sharp. "This is the human's fault," one declared. "Ever since he arrived, trouble follows." Another countered, "No, this is not chance. Someone wants us to blame him. These accidents are too precise." Queen Solara raised her hand, silencing the hall. "Enough. We will not accuse without proof. But we must be cautious. The safety of our people, and our guest, depends on it." Ryan felt a weight in his chest. He did not want to bring danger to Scythera, yet he knew leaving would not solve the problem. Whoever plotted against him would not stop until they achieved their goal. That night, as he prepared to rest, he heard a faint sound near his quarters. A whisper of movement. His instincts sharpened, and he quietly stepped outside. In the shadows, he saw two figures cloaked in dark garments. They were placing small devices along the corridor walls. Ryan acted quickly. "Stop," he called out. His voice was steady, though his heart raced. The figures turned sharply, their eyes flashing in the dim light. One lunged toward him, holding a device that sparked with energy. Without thinking, Ryan stepped aside, grabbed the figure's arm, and twisted it just enough to make the device fall. The other figure tried to escape, but Ryan shouted, and guards rushed in from both ends of the corridor. The intruders were captured, their faces revealed as members of the noble faction. The Queen was summoned, and the evidence was clear: the devices were meant to cause an explosion within the palace. In the council the next morning, Queen Solara's voice was stern. This plot was not only against the human, but against Scythera itself. To harm him is to harm us, for he is under our protection. The captured nobles did not show regret. One of them spoke boldly, "Humans are a danger. This man blinds the princess. If we remove him, Scythera will remain pure." Alara's eyes blazed with anger. "You dare speak of purity while you plan destruction against your own people? Ryan has shown more courage and honor than you." Ryan, though shaken, stepped forward. "I did not come here to divide your people. I came to learn, to understand, to build trust. If some of you fear me, then let me face your trials openly. Judge me by my actions, not by your fears. The hall fell silent. Queen Solaris studied him carefully, then nodded. So be it. We will not hide in shadows. Ryan will face a final trial, one that proves beyond doubt whether humans deserve our respect. Let every noble see it with their own eyes. The announcement spread quickly across the city. The final trial would take place in the great arena, a vast platform suspended high above the clouds. Citizens gathered in countless numbers, filling the air with anticipation. For many, this was the first time they would see a human tested. On the day of the trial, Ryan stood at the center of the arena. The platform stretched wide, its surface glowing faintly. Around him, energy fields shimmered, holding back the winds that roared through the open sky. Above, towers projected the scene across the city, so none would miss it. Queen Solaris spoke from her throne at the edge of the arena. Today, we witness a test of truth. The human Ryan will face challenges of mind, spirit, and courage. If he succeeds, his place among us will be undeniable. If he fails, he will return to his people in peace, but with no bond to Zythera. Ryan bowed his head respectfully. I am ready. The first challenge began. From the floor of the arena, platforms rose and shifted, creating a maze that twisted and turned. Some paths glowed brightly, while others flickered dangerously. Ryan had to navigate the maze while carrying a sphere of light, ensuring it did not dim. He moved carefully, remembering the lessons he had learned from Alara. Patience. Observation. Respect for the path. He chose his steps wisely, avoiding traps, keeping the light steady. The crowd watched in silence as he reached the center of the maze, the sphere shining brightly in his hands. The second challenge tested his mind. Strange puzzles appeared in the air, glowing with complex patterns. They shifted rapidly, demanding quick thinking and creativity. Ryan focused, recalling the devices he had worked with before. Instead of forcing solutions, he experimented, adapted, and trusted his instincts. Piece by piece, the patterns aligned, and the puzzles dissolved into streams of light. The final challenge was the most dangerous. From the edge of the arena, mechanical beasts emerged. They were not alive but constructs of energy and metal, built to test courage. They moved swiftly, their glowing eyes fixed on Ryan. The crowd gasped, but Ryan stood firm. He knew he could not defeat them with strength alone. Instead, he studied their movements, noticing small delays, tiny patterns in their attacks. Using agility and clever timing, he dodged their strikes, guiding them into each other's paths. With a final move, he tricked two beasts into colliding, their energy fields canceling each other. The remaining ones faltered and fell still. The arena filled with silence, then with the sound of cheers. Citizens shouted in approval, their doubts melting into respect. Queen Solara rose to her feet. You have seen with your own eyes. The human has shown courage, intelligence, and honor. He is not a threat to Zythera. He is a bridge to understanding. Alara stepped forward, her voice strong. This is why I chose him. Not for power or strength, but for the qualities that make him human. He sees, he learns, he respects. That is the strength we need. Ryan stood in the center of the arena, breathing heavily but filled with pride. He had faced fear, opposition, and danger, yet he remained true to himself. For the first time, he felt the weight of acceptance from the Zytheran people. But deep inside, he also knew this was only the beginning. Respect was earned, but unity still had to be built. The path ahead would not be simple. Yet as he looked at Alara's proud smile and the Queen's calm approval, he felt ready for whatever would come next. The roar of the crowd in the great arena still echoed in Ryan's ears long after the trial ended. When he returned to his quarters, he felt both relief and exhaustion. His body ached from the strain of the tests, but his spirit was light. For the first time since stepping foot on Zythera, he felt like more than just an outsider. He felt like someone who had earned a place, even if only for a moment. Princess Alara met him at the door. Her eyes were bright, her smile full of pride. "You did it, Ryan. You stood before all of Zythera and showed them what I already knew." Ryan gave a tired laugh. "I was not sure I would make it through those beasts. I thought one of them might crush me." "You used your mind, not only your strength. That is why you succeeded," Alara said gently. She placed her hand over her heart. "You reminded my people of qualities we sometimes forget. Courage without cruelty. Wisdom without arrogance. Creativity without fear." Ryan lowered his head humbly. "I only did what anyone in my place would have tried." "No," Alara said firmly. "Not everyone would have done it. But you did. That is what matters." The following day, the Queen summoned Ryan to the throne hall. The chamber was filled with nobles, advisors, and citizens of importance. The air was heavy with expectation. Queen Solara rose, her voice carrying across the hall with calm authority. "Ryan of Earth, yesterday you faced trials that tested your mind, your courage, and your spirit. You stood before all and showed us qualities that cannot be ignored. You have proven that humans are not weak, nor reckless, but strong in ways that we must respect." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the hall. "Let all who doubted see the truth. This human has earned a place of honor among us. His courage is not only his own but a reflection of his people." A murmur spread through the hall. Some nobles still looked uneasy, but most lowered their heads in acceptance. The rival faction who had tried to harm Ryan remained silent, their voices drowned by the weight of the Queen's judgment. Ryan stepped forward, bowing respectfully. "Your Majesty, I am honored. But I did not do this only for myself. I did it for the hope that our two peoples can stand together. Humanity has much to learn from Zythera, but perhaps Zythera may also find something to learn from humanity." The Queen's lips curved into a faint smile. "Spoken with humility. That is another gift you bring." The days that followed were filled with change. Citizens who once whispered doubts now greeted Ryan with cautious smiles. Children in the city waved when he passed, curious and eager to see the human who had faced the trial. Merchants offered him gifts of fruit and glowing crystals. Though suspicion had not fully disappeared, respect had taken its place. Alara remained by his side, guiding him through these new moments. Together, they spoke with inventors, farmers, and scholars. Ryan shared stories of Earth, of its forests, oceans, and skies, of its struggles and hopes. In return, Zytherans shared their knowledge of energy, medicine, and the harmony they tried to keep with the living world. One evening, Alara brought Ryan to a tall spire overlooking the city. From there, the floating towers glowed like stars above the endless clouds. "Do you see, Ryan?" she asked softly. "This is what I dreamed of. Two worlds not standing apart, but learning together. You are the beginning of that dream." Ryan looked out across the lights, his voice thoughtful. "If that dream is to last, it cannot rest only on me. More humans must come here, and more Zytherans must go to Earth. Our peoples must see each other with their own eyes. Alara's smile deepened. Then that is what we will make happen. But unity was not built in silence. Some nobles still plotted in secret, whispering that the queen's choice was a mistake, that Alara's affection for Ryan clouded her judgment. Though they could no longer act openly, their resistance lingered in hidden corners. One night, Ryan was walking through the palace garden when an elder noble approached him. The man's face was lined with age, his eyes sharp. "You are brave, human," the elder said quietly. "But bravery does not erase the fear of change. Remember this, respect is fragile. One wrong step, and it can break." Ryan nodded calmly. "I understand. But fear cannot guide the future. If your people only hold to what is safe, you will miss what could make you stronger." The elder studied him for a long moment, then turned away without a word. Ryan knew then that not all hearts would be won. But he also knew that the bond he had built with Alara and the Queen was strong enough to hold against doubt. Weeks later, a great celebration was held in the city. It marked the anniversary of Zythera's founding, a time when all citizens gathered to honor their history. The Queen decided this year would be different. She would use the day to mark a new chapter. The Grand Plaza was filled with citizens from every corner of the planet. Music drifted through the air, lights shimmered above, and banners waved in the breeze. At the center stood the Queen, Alara, and Ryan. Queen Solara raised her hands for silence. "My people, today we celebrate our past. But today we also open our eyes to the future. For too long, we believed Zythera alone could stand apart. But the stars are wide, and life beyond them waits to be known. The human you see before you, Ryan of Earth, has shown us the value of reaching beyond our world." The crowd murmured with excitement. The Queen continued, her voice steady. "From this day, Zythera will no longer close its gates. We will send envoys to Earth, and we will welcome humans here. Let this exchange be the start of a friendship that will strengthen both our peoples." A great cheer rose from the plaza, echoing through the towers. Alara stepped forward, her voice clear. "This is not only an alliance of politics, but of hearts. Ryan showed me that humans have strength not in their machines, but in their spirit. That is why I chose him, and that is why I believe in this bond." Ryan felt the weight of countless eyes on him. He took a breath, then spoke. "I came here as a stranger. I faced doubt, fear, and danger. But I was also met with kindness, wisdom, and courage. Today, I do not stand as one human. I stand for my people. And I say this, let Earth and Zythera walk together into the future." The cheers grew louder, spreading across the city like waves. That night, when the celebration faded and the stars filled the sky, Ryan stood with Alara on the balcony of the palace. The city glowed beneath them, alive with new hope. "Do you think this will last?" Ryan asked softly. Alara looked at him with calm certainty. "It will last because we will make it last. Change is never easy, but every great path begins with one step. You were that step, Ryan." Ryan smiled faintly. "Then let the next steps come quickly. I want Earth to see what I have seen here. I want Zythera to know the beauty of Earth." Alara's gaze lifted to the stars. "And together, perhaps one day, our peoples will walk those stars side by side." The wind carried their words into the night, blending with the quiet hum of the city. In the days that followed, preparations began for the first exchange mission between Earth and Zythera. Ships would travel between the two worlds, carrying envoys, knowledge, and friendship. For both civilizations, it was the dawn of something new. and at the heart of it all was the memory of a moment when a princess had pointed to a human and said, "I want this human, Mom." A choice that had changed not only her life but the fate of two worlds.